If you want to be winning more games in Hearthstone, knowing what the best Hearthstone decks are right now is the best way to do that. In this video, I will show you 5 of the best Hearthstone decks right now, but we will also go over all of the best working archetypes for each individual class, so stick around to the end. If you're serious about Hearthstone, definitely consider subscribing, and also don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. And you can be sure I will do my best to make you a better Hearthstone player. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is gonna be just Imp Warlock, and even though Kris Imp Warlock is still doing very well, just Imp Warlock is also worth mentioning. This variant is a lot simpler than the Kris variant, because here you're just straight up board centric. You have all of the good Imp cards, including some non-Imp cards like Murloc and Voidwalker for some defense and lifesteal, but you're still running things like Grimoire Sacrifice so you can deal with some early wide boards, and also Dreadlich Damson is pretty nice as well all around. You also have Siren Aphrius at the end, because in some games you're just not going to be able to actually connect face even though you're going to be building boards over and over again. And Siren Aphrius is a great way to win those. Matchup wise, here's what it looks like, and only Naga Priest would be a really bad one for you. Spooky Mage is a 50-50, and same goes for Enraged Warrior and Miracle Rogue. Mulligan wise, going first and second, you always want your Fiendish Circle, Wicked Shipment, and also Flustered Librarian and Flame Imp. Mischievous Imp is also pretty nice. And the location, if you're already curving out when going first, is not a bad keep too. Same can be said for Impending Catastrophe, but make sure not to keep both of these at the same time. Imp Curing Farm can also be pretty nice if you're already curving out well into it. And also Imp Gang Boss is not a bad turn-free play for you. When on the coin, it's pretty much similar, but you can be a lot more liberal about things like Impending Catastrophe and the location, and you can even keep him without having anything good already. For other good Warlock decks, like I said, Curse Imp Warlock is doing very well as well. Phylactery Warlock is a lot more complicated, but you can still get a lot of wins with that too. The rest is iterations of those, so stick with these 3 archetypes for now. On the number 2 spot, we actually have Blessed Priest instead of Naga Priest, but again, both are doing very well. Blessed Priest is actually doing a lot better now in top 1000 Legends, so I decided to feature that one here. This deck is more complicated than the Naga variant, which is also not a super simple deck to pilot optimally. But yeah, here you have only 3 minions, being the Handmaidens, the Radiant Elementals, and your legendary Priestess Valish. The rest is a ton of spells, with some good card draw with your Switcheroo, obviously your Boon of the Ascendant so you can get some big taunts that can't really be silenced. I mean they can, they're not gonna be taunts, but they're still gonna have all of those stats. And yeah, you still have your Wigs, Shadow Word Devourer is pretty disgusting, Shard of Donaru is a great way to prevent taunts against you, the Lighted Burns so you can deal with some big stuff as well, and the rest is a bunch of buffs. Focused Will is actually nice here because this way you can silence a frozen minion for you and you can still connect face. The best minion for you to silence like that would be, like I said, Boon of the Ascendant, because that doesn't really silence the stats and you're still gonna be able to connect for a ton. Matchup wise, Thief Rogue is gonna be not amazing for you, but the real downside is Control Paladin, which is absolutely murdering you. Mulligan wise, going first and second, Switcheroo and Handmaiden are always gonna be great, even though when going first, Handmaiden is a little tricky. When going second, here's what it looks like again. Shadow Word Devourer becomes very amazing because you get to suck off early game boards. And you can even do stuff like Tempo Radiant Elemental, and if that sticks, that can be really huge. For other good priest decks, like I said, the Just Naga Priest is doing still fine. And we also have Big Priest with 40 cards doing well. Quest Priest is still playable. And the rest are under 50. Boar Priest is still a pretty good deck, but you have to be really good to make it work. On the number 3 spot, we still have 40 Thief Rogue, which is really strong in top 1000 Legend, because the skill cap for it is kinda high. The deck is pretty disgusting to play because you have all sorts of random generated cards, which you get to handpick and discover, and if you know what you're doing with this deck, you can really set yourself up for success against any opponent. Depending on what you need, you might start pulling cards that give you armor, healing, or just board clear, or even card draw. And that way, with your Contraband stash and with your Test Grain main, you can repeat those a bunch of times and really push your advantage. You also have a lot of hand disruption with a couple of Ghastly Gravediggers, plus Teotar, and with that you can really put a kink in the opponent's plan. You also have a bunch of secrets with Perjury, plus Double Cross, and with Perjury you always guarantee you actually have a secret for next turn. You have your Private Eye so you thin out your deck with those secrets as well, Swift Scale Trickster plus Jackpot so you can cheat out some big stuff, as well as Sprint, and you also have Siren Aphrius at the end, and a lot of the times it's super easy for you to reach the late game, because you have a lot of control-y tools. Matchup wise, here's what it looks like in Legends. Fel Demon Hunter and Ramp Druid are going to be a little bit under 50, but Kris Imp Warlock and Imp Warlock are also not going to be your friends. But all around, as you can see, everything is very close. Mulligan wise, here's what it looks like when going first. You want your good early game cards. Queen Ashara is pretty nice, so you can load her up and get a good Colossal minion for you nice and early, and you can actually repeat that from your tests plus your contraband stash. Wild Pognolls are still pretty nice. Reconnaissance, so you can tempo out some good death rattles. Private Eye, so you can get the secrets and whatnot. And your tradable card and Ghastly Gravedigger is still pretty nice. Jackpot plus Swift Scale Trickster is still pretty good too. When on the coin, it's pretty much the same, but also Sardan Aphrius, Krabatoa, and Shadowcrafter's caps start making a lot more sense too. For other good rogue decks, we also have Mind Rogue doing pretty well, but also Miracle Rogue is doing pretty strong in skilled hands. You can really do some crazy stuff with this deck as soon as turn 4 and 5, and it's pretty disgusting to lose against it. On the number 4 spot, we still have Beast Hunter, which is doing as strong as ever again. The deck is not very different from what I used to play, and you still have the package with Devouring Swarm, your 2 Tarantulas, and also Doggy Biscuit so you can give them Rush. This variant also runs Rat King in here, so that's gonna make it very variable what you're gonna be getting out of your pet collector, but still the list looks pretty strong, and everything else is basically the same with Sardan Aphrius and Wing Commander at the end. You can check out my detailed video guide about it with some coaching gameplay into it too, so you get a better idea of how to play this deck. Matchup wise, here's what we got. Aggro Druid can be a little bit tricky, but honestly it's not that hard a matchup. Mulligan wise, going first and second, Spirit Poacher, Wild Spirits, the Weapon, and a good 1-drop is always going to be a great keep. When going first, any of the 1-drops is going to work for you, but when going second, Peasant is a little bit questionable, so keep in mind what are you keeping it against. Arrowlong can also make the cut if you're curving into it, same can be said for Pet Collector. Tavish might make enough sense in certain matchups. Frenzied Fans are not bad too, and also Asheron Saber. Other than that, for Hunter we also have a 30 variant of the deck, which is doing also okay and a lot more consistent at what it does, but the other variants are below 50, so stay away from those. And on the number 5 spot, we still have the cheapest deck ever, Beast Druid. Really nothing new about the Beast Druid, so definitely check out my detailed guide about it with some coaching gameplay to it too, so you have a better idea of how to win with this deck. With it, you just want to go wide in the early turns and then start buffing out of proportion with your Heralds, with your Prize Fury, and also with some Discover stuff from Planted Evidence. Matchup wise, we have a lot of stats here, so you are going to see a lot more red than usual, but most of these are matchups you're not going to face that many of. Aggro Demon Hunter and Relic Demon Hunter are not going to be that great. Big Spell Mage plus Spooky Mage as well. Control Paladin is not great too because they have a lot of good removal. Most of the Priests are not going to be great either. And also Control Warlock and Phylactery Warlock have a lot of removal against you as well. And Rage Warrior also not your friend. Mulligan wise, going first and second, Herald of Nature is always going to be a great keep, and you also want a good 1-drop to go with it. Living Roots can also make it work. If you're already curving out, Pride Fury can be a keep. Thorngrove Sentry is not bad, and Druid of the Reef is pretty flexible too. Aquatic Form I'd always keep because it's basically a second mulligan phase for you. When on the coin it's pretty much the same, but things like Beaming Sidekick plus Peasant are very strong for you, and Druid of the Reef is a lot more keepable as well. Mark of the Wild can also make the cut because it's a lot of stats early. We also have Ram Druid variants being very good right now, and some are also running Celestial alignment. But yeah, it's basically Ram Druid and Aggro Druid for this class right now. And for the classes we didn't mention, with Demon Hunter we still have Aggro Demon Hunter, Fel Demon Hunter, and Relic Demon Hunter being the best 3 archetypes. With mages we have Big Spell Mage plus Spooky Mage with both 30 and 40 variants. Secret Mages are usable from Diamond to Legend as well. Ping Mage is also pretty fast and good. And also Mech Mage is just below 50%. For Paladin we have Control Paladin with the 40 variant doing very strong. Pure Paladin with the 30 variant is also usable, but the rest are not that amazing. With Shamans we have Control Shaman doing still fine. Murloc Shaman is actually also pretty strong, so if you miss that archetype you can give it a go again. And also Evolve Shaman, which is a similar list to the Control Shaman, is doing just above 50%. And with Warrior, and Rage Warrior is actually still doing pretty fine, but it does seem like it's falling in power, so that is why I did not include it in this top 5. Quest Warrior is actually barely usable again, and Charge Warrior is just shy away from 50%. So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing in the current meta. If you want to get better at Hearthstone, don't forget you can also hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.